Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Mommy Said a Bad Word with Mindy J. I am of course your host, Mindy J. First of all, let me say Happy New Year. For me personally, the new year didn't start until Monday, January 6th, because that middle of the week, New Year, it threw my whole week off. It felt like I shouldn't have even been at work because I didn't take 2 weeks off for the holidays. So I had to go back to work and I'm like, this feels so weird. It just didn't feel like a complete new start. So I went ahead and decided my new year starts on Monday. So we're kicking things off. I hope that everyone had a fun time bringing in the new year, whatever your choice to do so was. I know that I told y'all, if y'all watch my 2024 Wrapped video, I said that I was going to be in somebody's club. I wasn't, y'all. I was in the bed. TT is getting old, but nonetheless, welcome back to another episode. So I am, trying to take into account the constructive criticism that I've been getting, and it has been constructive. I don't listen to the haters, but if people are giving me genuine good feedback, I will listen to it. And one of the things that people say is I tend to bounce around, right? I do a lot of this. I run my mouth. And I'm a yapper. I'm always going to be a yapper. I get easily distracted, so I might move away from the point here and there, but I'm going to try and get right into the nitty gritty of what my topic is today. So, as we're starting the new year, I know a lot of us are trying to figure out our goals. What do we want our year to look like? For me, I'm stepping into this space. Now, I'm not new to content. I've been writing for many years. I've written for many big publications. I've also had this podcast for a few years. So I'm not new to criticism. I'm not new to trolls. I'm not new to people and their big opinions, right? Because I'm giving my opinion too. But as I'm stepping into this YouTube space, this is a little different for me. I'm not used to being in front of the camera. I've always just kind of enjoyed being out of sight. So this is new for me. But as I'm getting into YouTube, I don't want to be just like one track, right? I don't want to just get in front of a camera, get in front of a mic and talk at people all day. Like, I want to create content that is fun, that is engaging, that, even if people don't come to listen to my podcast, they might stay and listen, but they might come for something totally different and get this as well. Or also people might come for my podcast and get something else as well. So I've just been trying to figure out what that content looks like, right? And it brought me to the subject of family vlogging. If we've been on the internet long enough that family vlogging is not necessarily a new concept, but it is newer, where we're seeing the first kind of generation of children who were on YouTube and were into vlogging, having their life vlogged. We're seeing them become teenagers, right? For me, if you're in my age range, we were kind of teenagers, at least by the time that YouTube really was popping off, where you were doing vlogging. Because I remember when YouTube was just parodies and skits and auto-tune, that chipmunk sounding music, lyric videos. So we're kind of seeing the first, I guess, graduation class of the family vloggers. And it just made me think, is that something that ethically I could involve myself in? I've kind of had the approach of not having my kids on the internet. Not that I'm going to say they're not on the internet. I try to keep them off the internet as much as possible. I will post pictures here and there. Sometimes I'll post, if they do something cute, I'll post it in my stories. Sometimes they will like to get in the shot of my content, right? But I haven't made them the focal point of my content. And I know it was something that people kind of pushed me to do, because even when I do like make little mini vlogs with them and stuff, the numbers do really well. Like, people like to see the kiddos, right? And I have twins. I am a twin mom, and I don't know what it is, but people really have a fascination with twins. I don't know. I guess people don't really see them a lot. I don't know what it is, y'all, but people love twins. And I know that if I did more like twin content and more day in the life mommy of twin content, that could really go up. But I haven't felt it for several reasons, and let's get into it. People are weird. And I think sometimes we underestimate how weird people are, or the lengths that people will go to be weird and to be predatory and be just strange individuals, right? So it's not lost on me that there are a lot of predators on the socials that get their fix of children from looking at these family vlogs and looking at parents posting their children. That's what has made me so hesitant to post my child or post my children. You know, I feel like when you first have your kids, and there's always a lot of discourse around, you know, people showing the face of their kid, like, oh, well, why did you even post your kid if you weren't going to show the face or show the eyes and whatever. I know Summer Walker is a big one who does that. And I don't know if y'all saw, LMA was just at the Celtics game, because her dude is, what's his name? Jason Tatum. They just had a baby. She was in the box, and the camera panned to her, and she like reached across and tried to hide her baby's face. And it's been a lot of discourse like, well, girl, why did you even bring your child? Or, you know, what did you expect people not to look at your child, et cetera, et cetera. And I think in some cases it is like, well, what, or were you expecting? Why did you even post them? But on the flip side, I do get it, because it's like you might want to share these moments, right? But there are weird people who might mean harm for your children. On the predator aspects, if you look, like, go on TikTok or go on Twitter and look at some of the saves, the bookmarks that people bookmark, and it'll be like a kid running around, right? But let's say the shorts are a little short, or, you know, let's say they're eating a banana or a hot dog. Let's say, you know, they have on an outfit that's a little grown. The predators, you might be looking at it with an innocent mind and thinking, oh, this is a cute video of this child. They're just a kid being a kid. But to the mind of a pedo, you know, they can make anything sexual. So you really have to be careful and protect your babies, right? You don't want to exploit them in that way. The next thing is, let's use Ryan's World, for example, because my children really, really enjoy watching Ryan's World. If you're not into Ryan's World, I believe he was like the first little boy to become a millionaire or something from like playing with toys. It started off as toy reviews. So him and his family would like basically review toys and play with toys and stuff. And kids, for some reason, kids love watching children play with toys. They love watching children be children, right? And that's another thing. Like, that's a market for sure when you're looking into, I'm sorry, y'all, my dog is doing the most. I try not to lock him up, but he always doing the most as soon as I start recording. But, child. Whoa, I done lost my train of thought. Well, anyway, kids love watching kids play with toys, which that's the thing. When you involve your kids, you can tap into a whole other market and a whole other demographic, right? So he started off doing that, and I don't even know how my kids started watching him on YouTube. I think it might have been like a related video or something. And since then, that family has been able to basically build a whole I don't want to say they've been able to elevate their platform, okay? We'll say it that way. So now I believe they have twin girls, and they like have the Haji family or whatever, and they essentially have tried putting them on. And I noticed with family content a lot, it comes down to people putting the whole family on, which I know I don't have a problem with at all, but you kind of putting your whole family on based on these children, right? And your relationship with these children. So they have that. I believe they have a whole production company now. I believe there was a Ryan's World movie not too long ago. I don't know how well it did, but it did come out. It's just been like a whole thing to watch. But now Ryan is like 14 or something. He's a teenager. And he's still, I don't know, it's just, he's not a little kid anymore. And the content, a lot of it is still very kid based, right? And it's to the point where my children don't even necessarily like watching the new Ryans. They like to watch Ryan when he was a kid, and they'll be like, go find a Ryan video when he was little, right? So sometimes they rock with the little twin sisters. The twin sisters are maybe 5 or 6 or something, but they don't really care to see Ryan because Ryan is a teenager. And I don't know that Ryan, I don't know how he feels about it, but he doesn't really seem like he wants to be there either. But what happens when you have created this whole platform, like the whole brand, right? Which they have toys and video games and some more stuff. This whole brand is based on Ryan. And you can try, like they've tried to make it like the family and like really include the girls, but he is the star of the show. And if he don't want to do it no more, or if the target demographic and audience doesn't necessarily relate to him anymore, what happens next, right? What happens next? And does he get to say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore? Because essentially you're feeding the family, right? And I know there's a lot that goes into like child stars, right? Because when I was growing up, we had child stars. And even then, a lot of parents didn't want their kids to be child stars because a lot of child stars ended up crashing out later on in life, right? Because of the fact that they had so much on them as children. And now with family vlogging, I feel like it just adds this layer of anybody can really become a child star, right? Social media and our access has changed what it means to be a star, right? And have star quality, because anyone can go viral and anyone can build a following. And it's just like there are no supermodels anymore, right? We see influencers more so than we see supermodels. And I don't know how long we'll see influencers, right? But the models change, but it's still, the more things change, the more things stay the same. And I wonder how that affects these children. Do you get to bow out? What protections are in place for these children of family bloggers, right? Because let's just hope that the parents are ethical, right? Let's hope they're setting them up with trust funds. Let's hope that they're giving them access to their money. Even if you have to distribute it so they don't just spend it, right? But let's hope they have access to their money. Let's hope they have college funds set up and all of this. But you don't know, because at the end of the day, it's a family vlog. So what things are put into place for these children to make sure that they're protected? I think another aspect, I don't know if y'all saw the video or the interview of Keke Palmer when she was on Club Shay Shay. I told y'all I haven't really been into podcasts a lot lately, but I do like to watch the interview. So I did watch her interview with Shannon Sharp, and she talked about basically having to support her whole family through her work, and she wasn't mad about it because her family also supported her, but that puts a lot on your shoulders, right? And she ended up, I believe, filing bankruptcy a couple of times. And the difference here, though, is Keke Palmer is an actor. So she can bounce back and she can you know, get these gigs and she can, at the end of the day, go back to acting. But what happens to these kids when the family goes bankrupt, right? And you're not an actor. You're not an entertainer. You don't really have anything to fall back on but, you know, this life and this perception of yourself and your family that has been created online. Like, what is the fallback plan on that? And I also have noticed a lot of, you know, vloggers, you know, they did switch up their content a little bit. They did take a different path, a different approach so that their content can be evergreen, right? And you do have to be innovative in this space anyway when it comes to that. You have to understand, you know, what works and what doesn't work. But it just, it makes me wonder, like, how can you be ethical, including your children in this, while also not causing irreversible damage? I don't know. It's a very, very, very fine line to tread, because I don't think that you are the average person. I don't think that y'all should know what my kids look like. Like, in the sense that if my kids are out walking around, I don't think that you should be like, oh, those are Mindy's kids, and you don't know me personally. Right? And it's to the point with the family vlogging scene that I recognize people's kids and I don't even know their parents. But I recognize these kids. That's frightening. Like, that's a little bit frightening. Like your children have no say over this, right? All they know is mommy and daddy are making these vlogs and I like being with my mommy and I like doing what my mommy does. And they don't really understand what they're getting themselves into. And I also think it gets a little bit weird when, you know, now they're having to read from scripts, right? Now they're getting these brand deals, right? Now they have to memorize lines. And it's like, does that go into child labor laws? And I'm not trying to sound like a hater. I'm not trying to knock anybody's hustle, because I enjoy family vlogs, right? I do. I enjoy them, but as a mother and as someone who is stepping into this space, I can't help but wonder, like, what does this look like? And it's just not enough information. It's almost like smoking weed in pregnancy, right? So many people will tell you it's okay, but it just hasn't been enough studies done for me to feel comfortable with it. You get what I'm saying? Another reason that this conversation and this topic came up was because there is a family, the Henrys, right? Which, let me just give a disclaimer, I truly enjoy the Henrys. I really do. I follow them. I think that they're very cool, and I feel like the Henrys have, well, at least what's her name? Not Janae. Janae is the auntie name. What's her name? Hold on. Okay, Jayla. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get her name wrong, because I think that she has built her own platform in her own right, right? So this is not shade or anything like that. And it's no hateration or holleration in the dancery. But I feel like a big part of this conversation and why it has been on my mind, like the ethics of everything, is because people had things to say about them. And now I do think some of the things people were saying about them was coming from a place of hate, but I also think that some of it was a valid critique, right? Two things can be true. But anyway, the Henry family, they have, the whole family is on, right? Even the grandma is on now. Like, it's Jayla, Janae, the husband, I don't know, I don't follow the husband. The sister-in-law, I can't think of her name, but I have one of her bags, her TOK bags, which is, honestly, I would like her to get back to that, because that's one of my most complimented bags. Basically the whole family is on, right? And a lot of people were saying, they're building a house. Let me not jump the gun. They're building a house. They're building their dream house, which beautiful, 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 beautiful. And I saw a video of them basically on the bones of the house, the frame of the house, people coming to bless the home and write scriptures on the frame of the house, and basically I guess pray over the house and come together in that way. And I thought it was beautiful, but a lot of people had things to say about the fact that a big part of their brand is the children, right? A big part of everybody involved, a big part of it is their children. And it was just begging the question, what happens when they don't want to do this anymore? And I don't think that this family in particular, I'm pretty sure that they are setting their kids up, right? I don't think that they're, going to waste away that money or anything like that, which I don't know, because look at Diera and her old dude. I mean, she got to sue him to get that money back. But I don't think anything like that would happen with them. But it did bring up the question, and a lot of people just push it off as people hating. But I'm like, well, there is some validity in wondering, right? Because what happens when you build this house and the kids don't want to do it anymore, but the mortgage still got to be paid? So what happens next, right? I'm pretty sure they will be good in particular, but I see it so often where it's like these kids are stuck like Chuck. At what point are we saying that they're being exploited? Again, we're past the Henrys at this point. Think about all of the children who we are watching become teenagers before our eyes. At what point do we say this is exploitation? Give them the rights to their likeness and leave them alone, right? And it changes the way that you can move through life. Like you literally become a mini celebrity, right? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I'm thankful and happy for, the stay-at-home moms who find a way to make some income. And if that's through vlogging, I'm okay with that. But when you're involving the children, at what point do you say, this is getting a little weird? And I genuinely want to know when you think that, it crosses the boundary from being cute and fun and, oh, look at the family, they're so awesome, to now these children are being exploited in a way that, even if it's Prime, move away from the cords, please. Thank you. Even if it's in a way that, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, next. Again, I thought of it. When do we say this is exploitative? Right? Because there's a difference between setting up your tripod and just reviewing your day, and your kids are a part of your day, and showing your life and your kids are a part of your life, to when it's like, okay, now it's getting weird. The kids can't move through life normally. And that's my thing. I want my children to have as normal of a life as possible. So at what point are you like, okay, this is becoming a little bit too dependent on the children, right? Being a part of your brand for them to really have a normal life. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. And it's like, there are, celebrity children, and there are children who are accustomed to the spotlight, and that's how they move through life. But I feel like that's just got to be, if you're not in a space where you have that type of security, and, people build parasocial relationships with you. People will think that they are your friend, right? Because y'all interact online. I don't know if y'all on TikTok, but I didn't heard that word mutual more times than enough, okay, over the last week. And people will think, oh, because we're mutuals, or because I engage with your content and you recognize me, that we have become friends, right? And you might create a little Myron ass stalker for your child. I don't know. It makes me worried. And maybe that's just me and my paranoia as a mother, because as a mother, I'm always concerned about stuff like that, and just the safety of my children overall. But, am I overthinking it? Are we ever really overthinking it, or do we just have to kind of pacify ourselves and be cool with things? I'm not sure, right? But for me personally, I'm not saying my kids will not pop up in my content, right? But I don't think that I'm going to make them a focal point in my content. I don't even think if I get married, because as of right now, I'm single. If I get married, I don't even think I want my husband to be a focal point in my content, right? I know that there are there's a lot of couple content out there. I'm not a huge fan of it. But some of it is cute. And I know there is, family couple content, and I don't know, stuff like that just doesn't leave room for error to me, and it just puts too many people in your business. This community that I want to build and the content I want to put out surrounds me, right? And yes, as we grow and stuff, I don't mind sharing parts of my life, right? That's the whole point. But I feel like I would prefer that my children, if they so decide that this is something they want to do, I would rather it be, a decision that they made on their own, so that they maintain their bodily autonomy, if that makes sense, right? Like I said, family vlogging in general, I feel like it leaves no room for error, right? Because it's almost like you have to keep up this image and keep up what you're perceived to be. And I think that was my biggest issue with even stepping into this type of content and putting myself out here in that type of way, was I was afraid of being perceived, or people thinking that they know me in this certain way. And then if I'm not like that, right? Or you figure it's like, oh, well, maybe they won't like me, or now I've embarrassed myself, or whatever the case may be. And with family vlogging, I feel like your kids got to be perfect, or got to be presented as perfect. Your marriage got to be presented as perfect. Your relationship got to be presented as perfect. And then it's like you want to be presented as relatable to build your following. But then what happens when you're no longer relatable? Because it's a few content creators, you are no longer relatable. And it doesn't mean I won't, still consume your content. I think at some point, in all of it, everybody becomes a little unrelatable, because people like us, we're working class, right? We're working class, just trying to make it. But at a certain point, when you see people living lavishly, and unless you're actively trying to be like them, it becomes a little unrelatable. And it's like, well, that just doesn't make sense for my life. And that's not necessarily the fault of them, right? But I think that's just something that's always been on my mind with it. But I don't know. I'm still figuring out what I want to do. I don't want to be niche, right? I want to kind of touch all areas, but I don't think my kids will be involved. And I don't know. Things could change one day. I mean, don't hold that over my head if one day you do see them. But as of right now, I just think they're too young. And I have a problem with them being perceived, definitely, especially by weirdos. But, we'll see. Let me know if you know people who, started off with the family vlogging and switched things up, or quit family vlogging. Let me know. Share your opinions and what you think. What's the best way to go about that. But anyway, y'all, that's it for now. We'll be back to chat. I want to chat about some New Year stuff, New Year, new me. Like I said, I'm not really a big glow up content girl, but I definitely can tell you some of the things that I'm definitely trying to implement. Right now, I'm hungry AF because I'm doing a raw food diet just for the week, Monday through Friday. But I'm going to vlog that and share that with y'all too. So if you're interested, but of course, drink your water and mind your business. All right, y'all.